Good day, beautiful ladies. You're now listening to The Temporary Wife. Remember to leave a like and comment as you enjoy listening. Your comments and feedback helps me to further improve as we grow together as a family on this channel. Thank you. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 1. Sophia's fingers flew across the keyboard, the clock on her computer screen reading 9:47 p.m. Everyone else had left Montgomery Industries hours ago, but quarterly reports wouldn't file themselves. The office door burst open. Reid Montgomery stood in the doorway, his normally perfect appearance in disarray. His tie hung loose, dark hair disheveled as if he'd been running his hands through it repeatedly. "Mr. Montgomery?" Sophia saved her work, instantly alert. "Is everything okay?" He paced before her desk, something she'd never seen him do in 3 years as his executive assistant. "Claire's dead." Sophia's breath caught. His ex-wife. The woman who'd left him for a European film director 2 years ago. "I'm so sorry." "Car accident in Switzerland." Reid's voice remained mechanical. "Which means Lily is coming to live with me." "Your daughter?" Sophia asked, though she knew exactly who Lily was. The 5-year-old's photo sat on Reid's desk, the only personal item in his minimalist office. "The custody hearing is in 3 weeks. Reid finally stopped pacing. "My lawyer says I'm fighting an uphill battle." "But you're her father." "A father who works 80-hour weeks and who Claire's parents will paint as an absentee playboy more interested in business acquisitions than bedtime stories." His phone rang and he glanced at the screen. "Damn it. That's Mrs. Winters, Lily's temporary caretaker. She was supposed to stay with her tonight." Reid took the call, his expression darkening further. "Stomach flu? Oh, I understand. Yes, I'll figure something out." He ended the call and looked at Sophia with something close to panic. "Claire's parents, the Blackwoods, are waiting for me to mess up. If I can't find someone tonight, I can help," Sophia heard herself say. Reid blinked. "What?" "I have a degree in early childhood education." She started organizing her desk. "Before I switched to business administration. I could stay with her tonight." 20 minutes later, Sophia stood in the foyer of Reid's Upper East Side penthouse, taking in the sleek furnishings that seemed designed for a magazine spread rather than a home. "She's in here," Reid said, leading her to a bedroom where a small figure sat cross-legged on a canopy bed. Lily Montgomery had her father's dark hair and serious eyes. She wore pink pajamas and clutched a worn stuffed rabbit, regarding Sophia with wary curiosity. "Lily, this is Ms. Carter. She works with me and she's going to stay with you tonight." "Where's Mrs. Winters?" The child's voice was barely audible. "She's sick," Reid answered, his tone gentler than Sophia had ever heard at the office. "But Miss Carter is very nice." Sophia knelt to Lily's eye level. "You can call me Sophia." "And who's this?" She nodded toward the stuffed rabbit. "Mr. Hoppy," Lily whispered. "Has Mr. Hoppy had dinner yet? Because I'm starving." A tiny smile flickered across Lily's face. "Rabbits eat carrots." "We have those," Reid interjected, looking relieved. "In the fridge." "Perfect. How about we make something for all of us?" In the kitchen, Sophia found ingredients for simple pasta. She gave Lily the job of tearing lettuce for a salad, chatting easily about Mr. Hoppy's adventures. By the time they sat down to eat, Lily was asking questions and even giggling at Sophia's animal impressions. Reid watched them, fork suspended midair. "You're good with her. Kids appreciate honesty and respect." Sophia helped Lily twirl spaghetti onto her fork. "Even the little ones." After dinner, Sophia read 3 bedtime stories until Lily's eyes grew heavy. As she tucked the girl in, Lily asked, "Will you be here tomorrow?" Sophia glanced at Reid, who stood watching from the doorway. "I don't know, sweetheart. We'll see." Once Lily was asleep, Reid poured 2 glasses of scotch in his home office. "The court evaluator will be at the Hamptons retreat next weekend," he said, handing Sophia a glass. "The one for major shareholders and board members." "I know. I'm coordinating your presentation. I need to show I can provide Lily with stability." Reid swirled the amber liquid. "A family environment. You'll hire a nanny? The Blackwoods will argue I'm outsourcing parenting." He set down his glass. "I need a wife." Sophia choked on her scotch. "Excuse me. Not a real one. Temporary." Reid leaned forward. "The Blackwoods are wealthy, connected. They'll paint me as an unfit father who can't commit to anything but the next deal. So you want to lie to the court? I want to protect my daughter. His voice hardened. Claire's parents never approved of me. They'll raise Lily to forget I exist. Sophia stood up. Mr. Montgomery. One weekend. Reid rose too, towering over her. Pretend to be Mrs. Montgomery for 3 days. Help me convince Dr. Winters I'm capable of providing a stable home. This is insane. Double your salary. Plus funding for that educational nonprofit you included in your 5-year plan. Sophia stared at him. She'd mentioned that dream exactly once, during her initial interview 3 years ago. You remembered that? I remember everything about valuable assets. His eyes locked on hers. Help me keep my daughter, Miss Carter. And if I say no? Then I find someone else. He shrugged. But they won't be as convincing. Or as good with Lily. Sophia thought of the little girl upstairs, who'd already lost her mother and now faced being separated from her father too. One weekend, she said finally. And everything in writing. Reid offered his hand to shake. Deal. As their palms met, Sophia couldn't shake the feeling she'd just made a pact with the devil in a bespoke suit. Chapter 2. No, Mr. Montgomery and I met at the charity gala for. Sophia stopped, frowning at Reid across his office. The timeline doesn't work. We would have only been together 3 months. Reid loosened his tie. The Met fundraiser, then. Last fall. Better. Sophia made a note on her tablet. How did you ask me out? People will want details. 5 days had passed since their deal. 5 days of crafting a believable love story while juggling regular work duties and Lily's arrival from Switzerland. I called the next day and invited you to dinner. Sophia rolled her eyes. Boring. You're supposed to be madly in love, not scheduling a business meeting. Fine. Reid leaned back in his chair. You dropped your program leaving the gala. I followed you outside to return it. It was raining. When I caught up to you, you were standing under the awning of that little Italian place on 67th. He spoke with unexpected detail as if seeing it. I suggested we wait out the rain over dinner. You said you never mixed business with pleasure. I said it would be my pleasure to convince you otherwise. Sophia blinked, momentarily speechless. That's actually good. A knock interrupted them. Sophia opened the door to find Patricia, Reid's newly hired nanny, holding Lily's hand. Sorry to interrupt, Patricia said, but someone wanted to say good night to her father. Lily stood in lavender pajamas, hair damp from her bath. Reid immediately set aside his papers and crouched down. All ready for bed, princess? Lily nodded, then unexpectedly turned to Sophia. Will you read tonight? Sophia glanced at Reid, who looked equally surprised. If it's okay with your dad. Of course, Reid said quickly. 20 minutes later, after 2 stories and tucking Lily in, Sophia returned to the office to find Reid reviewing legal documents. She's really warming up to you, he said without looking up. Kids adapt quickly. Sophia hesitated. But they also get attached quickly. We need to be careful she doesn't get confused by this arrangement. Reid's jaw tightened. I'm doing this for her. I know. I just want to make sure nobody gets hurt. He slid a thick document across the desk. Speaking of our arrangement. The contract as requested. Sophia flipped through pages of legal jargon. This is extensive for a weekend charade. I'm thorough. She stopped at a section labeled Financial Compensation. Reid was offering not just double her salary but a significant bonus and seed funding for her nonprofit. The numbers made her dizzy. This is too much. It's fair compensation for what I'm asking. Sophia continued reading, stopping at a confidentiality clause with severe penalties. You really don't trust anyone, do you? Trust is earned, Reid said, his voice flat. And rare. She continued scanning until a strange paragraph caught her eye. Wait, why does this mention divorce proceedings? Precautionary. In case anyone investigates our marriage afterwards. This seems extreme for a weekend pretense. The Blackwoods have investigators. We need to be bulletproof. Reid checked his watch. I have a call with Tokyo in 10 minutes. Sophia gathered the contract. I'll review this tonight. Later that evening, Sophia spread the contract across her small dining table in her Brooklyn apartment. The terms were generous but restrictive. One clause prohibited her from discussing the arrangement with anyone, ever. Her phone rang. Emily's name flashed on the screen. "Please tell me you're not still working," her best friend said when Sophia answered. "Just reviewing some paperwork." "On a Thursday night? Sophia, you need a life." "I know. At least tell me the mysterious meeting with HR today was about a promotion." Sophia froze, pen hovering over the contract. The confidentiality clause stared back at her. "Just updating some benefits information," she lied, hating how easily it came. After the call, Sophia continued reading. The final pages included a detailed background on the Blackwood family. Gerald and Vivian Blackwood, Claire's parents, owned a luxury hotel chain. They'd never approved of Reid, considering him new money and too ambitious. The document included photos. An elegant silver-haired couple who looked like they belonged on a yacht. Sophia's phone lit up with a text from Reid. "Did you sign?" She texted back, still reviewing. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then "The contract protects us both." Sophia shuffled through the pages again, finding a section about the court evaluator. Dr. Jennifer Winters, child psychologist, appointed by the family court. Known for thorough assessments and difficult to impress. As Sophia reached for her pen, a loose paper slipped from the stack. Her blood froze as she read the heading, "Prenuptial Agreement." She quickly scanned the document. It wasn't part of their arrangement but a standard prenup with her name already inserted. A sticky note in the corner read, "Just in case, legal." Just in case of what? Sophia's phone buzzed again. "Everything okay?" She stared at the prenup, then back at her phone, a chill running through her. "What aren't you telling me about this weekend?" The reply came almost instantly. "Nothing that affects our agreement. Trust me." Trust. There was that word again. Sophia set down her pen and poured a glass of wine. The prenup and Reid's reassurance sat uneasily together. What had seemed like a straightforward, if unusual, arrangement now felt like stepping onto a bridge in dense fog. She picked up her pen again and signed the contract, carefully setting the prenup aside. Whatever game Reid Montgomery was playing, she had just become a pawn. But Sophia didn't intend to remain one for long. Chapter 3. Sophia smoothed her sundress as the driver navigated the final stretch of tree-lined road leading to the Hamptons estate. Beside her, Reid's phone buzzed relentlessly. "Remember," he said between emails, "we've been secretly dating for 8 months, married for 3 weeks. Small ceremony at City Hall, waiting to have a proper reception. Until after the custody situation is settled," Sophia finished. "I know our story, darling." Reid's eyes flicked up at the endearment, a hint of amusement crossing his features. "What?" Sophia asked. "Nothing. Just, you sounded convincing. I'm an excellent assistant. Following instructions is my specialty." The car crunched to a stop on the circular gravel driveway. Through the window, Sophia spotted a sprawling mansion overlooking the Atlantic. Board members and their families mingled on the expansive lawn, champagne flutes glinting in the afternoon sun. "Ready?" Reid asked, sliding his phone into his pocket. Before she could answer, the car door opened. Reid stepped out first, then offered his hand. As Sophia emerged, she felt dozens of curious eyes turn toward them. Reid's hand settled at the small of her back. "Smile," he whispered. "Everyone's watching." "No pressure," she murmured through her smile. A woman in crisp linen separated from the crowd. "Reid, finally decided to grace us with your presence." "Victoria." Reid nodded to the elegant board member. "You remember my assistant, Sophia." Victoria Chase's perfectly sculpted eyebrows rose. "I wasn't aware your assistant would be joining the executive retreat." "My wife," Reid corrected smoothly, "would never miss it." Victoria's champagne glass paused halfway to her lips. "Your wife. Recent development." Reid's arm slid around Sophia's waist, pulling her closer. "We kept it quiet." "How surprising." Victoria's gaze lingered on Sophia's simple gold band, purchased 2 days ago at Tiffany's with Reid's corporate card. "Congratulations." As Victoria walked away, Sophia whispered, "She didn't seem thrilled." Victoria wanted the Montgomery name for herself. "She'll survive the disappointment." A silver-haired couple approached, their posture rigid with old money confidence. "The Blackwoods," Reid muttered. "Showtime." Gerald Blackwood extended his hand to Reid with obvious reluctance. Montgomery. Gerald, Vivian. Reid nodded, his expression neutral. May I introduce my wife, Sophia? Vivian Blackwood's eyes narrowed. Wife? How convenient, given the circumstances. Mom. A small voice pierced the tension. Lily ran across the lawn, followed by her nanny. She crashed into Sophia's legs, arms wrapping tightly around them. Sophia's heart lurched at the word mom, but she recovered quickly, crouching down. Hey sweetie. Having fun? Lily nodded, then whispered dramatically, there's a huge swimming pool. Perhaps you'd prefer Aunt, Vivian suggested coldly. More accurate for a relationship of, what, a few weeks? We've known each other for years, Sophia replied, rising to her full height. And Lily can call me whatever makes her comfortable. Behind the Blackwoods, a woman with a tablet approached. Mid-50s, sensible shoes, shrewd eyes behind tortoiseshell glasses. Dr. Winters. Reid stepped forward. Thank you for coming. The court evaluator shook his hand, then Sophia's. Mrs. Montgomery. A pleasure. Please call me Sophia. I look forward to observing your family interactions this weekend, Dr. Winters said, making a note on her tablet. Especially since your marriage is so recent. Some things you just know, Reid said, surprising Sophia by taking her hand and interlacing their fingers. When it's right, why wait? By dinner, Sophia's cheeks ached from smiling. She sat beside Reid at the long table on the terrace, acutely aware of Dr. Winters watching them from 3 seats away. How did you and Reid meet? Asked Charles Devlin, Montgomery Industries CFO. At work, Sophia replied. Though we didn't start dating until after the Met Gala last fall. It was raining, Reid added, his voice softening. She stood under an awning trying to hail a cab. Her hair was damp, curling at the edges. Every head at the table turned to him. Reid Montgomery, notorious for his laser focus on business, was describing a romantic moment. The restaurant behind her had an empty table by the window, he continued. I suggested we wait out the rain over dinner. He was surprisingly persistent, Sophia added, amazed at how naturally they played off each other. And she was surprisingly resistant, Reid countered, his fingers brushing hers on the table. The touch sent an unexpected shiver up her arm. Lily seems quite attached already, Dr. Winters observed. Children are intuitive, Sophia replied. They recognize genuine care. And you care for her? After such a short time? Sophia felt Reid tense beside her. Time isn't the measure of love, Dr. Winters. She thought of Lily's face lighting up when she read stories. Some connections are immediate. Indeed. Dr. Winters made another note. Across the table, Vivian Blackwood's mouth tightened into a thin line. Later that night, after tucking Lily into bed, Sophia kicked off her heels in their suite. One day down, 2 to go. You were incredible. Reid loosened his tie. Even Dr. Winters seemed impressed. I didn't realize you'd memorized our entire fake first date. Reid poured 2 glasses of champagne from a bottle, chilling beside the bed. Details sell the story. Well, the story is definitely selling. She accepted the glass. Your CFO asked if we were thinking about more children. Reid nearly choked on his champagne. What did you say? That we're focused on Lily for now. Sophia sipped her drink. Dr. Winters was taking notes. I think we're convincing her. To us then. Reid raised his glass. The perfect fake couple. Their glasses clinked. As they drank, Sophia noticed Reid watching her over the rim of his flute. What? She asked. Nothing. Just, thank you. He refilled their glasses. I know this isn't what you signed up for when you took the job. 3 glasses later, they sat on the balcony overlooking the moonlit ocean, ties and inhibitions loosened by expensive champagne. Did you love her? Sophia asked. Claire. Reid stared into his glass. Once. Before Lily, before the company took off. We were too young. And after we were too different. He leaned back in his chair. Your turn. Why no husband of your own? You're beautiful, smart. Focused on my career, Sophia replied, warmth spreading through her at the unexpected compliment. Men don't like women who prioritize work. Some do. His eyes met hers. The air between them seemed to charge with electricity. Reid leaned forward slightly. A knock at the door broke the moment. "More champagne," a voice called. Reid sighed and rose to answer. When he returned with another bottle, the spell was broken. "We should celebrate properly," he said, popping the cork. "We've got everyone fooled, even that shark Victoria." "To fooling everyone," Sophia agreed, raising her glass. Neither mentioned the moment on the balcony. Neither noticed how the second bottle led to a third. Neither remembered suggesting they explore the quaint chapel in town that was lit up so beautifully against the night sky. And neither would fully remember signing the papers the smiling chapel owner presented them, too caught up in their performance to realize it had become reality. Chapter 4. Sunlight stabbed through a gap in the curtains, landing directly across Sophia's eyes. Her head throbbed as consciousness returned, bringing with it fragmented memories of champagne, laughter, and strangely, church bells. She groaned and rolled over, hand connecting with something on the nightstand. Paper crinkled beneath her fingers. Sophia pried her eyes open. A certificate lay there, ornate border framing official-looking text. Her gaze snagged on 2 lines. Reid Alexander Montgomery and Sophia Elizabeth Carter. Joined in matrimony on this day. The pounding in her head intensified as she sat up too quickly. This couldn't be real. It had to be part of their cover story. A prop Reid had created. Clutching the sheet to her chest, Sophia looked around the suite. Her dress from last night lay draped over a chair. Reid's side of the bed was empty, but the shower ran in the adjoining bathroom. The bathroom door opened. Reid emerged with a towel around his waist, water droplets still clinging to his shoulders. He stopped short when he saw Sophia awake, certificate in hand. "You've seen it," he said, not a question. "Please tell me this is fake." She waved the paper. "Part of our charade." Reid sat heavily on the edge of the bed. "I wish it were. We're actually married?" Panic rose in her throat. "How? We were just having drinks and then—" "Little chapel by the sea." Reid ran a hand through his damp hair. "Apparently they do late-night ceremonies. The owner was very accommodating." Fragments of memory surfaced. A white wooden chapel glowing under moonlight, a kindly older man in a bow tie, signing papers while giggling like teenagers. "This isn't funny, Reid." Sophia clutched the sheet tighter. "We have to fix this. Get it annulled immediately." "I know. I've already called my lawyer." Reid gestured to his phone. "He'll be here in an hour." "Good." Sophia exhaled. "This is insane. We were drunk. Surely that's grounds for annulment." "Absolutely." He nodded too quickly. "A simple misunderstanding." Someone knocked at the suite door. Reid grabbed a robe and went to answer while Sophia ducked into the bathroom with her overnight bag. When she emerged dressed in jeans and a blouse, a stern-faced man in an expensive suit sat at the room's desk, legal papers spread before him. "Miss Carter, I'm Howard Geller." He didn't offer to shake hands. "I understand we have a situation." "That's putting it mildly," Sophia said. Howard's expression remained impassive. "I've reviewed the certificate. It's legitimate. You are, in fact, legally married." "Then unmarry us," Sophia replied. "Annulment, right? We were both intoxicated." "Not quite that simple." Howard adjusted his glasses. "An annulment now would send up red flags." Reid, now dressed in casual weekend wear, paced by the window. "Explain." "You're in the middle of a high-profile custody evaluation." Howard gestured to the legal papers. "The timing would be disastrous. Dr. Winters would immediately question the validity of your entire relationship. So we're stuck." Sophia felt the room tilt. "Temporarily," Howard confirmed. "I recommend maintaining the marriage until custody is settled. Then we file for annulment citing irreconcilable differences." "How long?" Reid asked. 3 to 6 months, minimum." 6 months. Sophia's voice rose. "I can't pretend to be married for 6 months." "You won't be pretending," Howard pointed out dryly. "You are married." Reid dismissed the lawyer after another 20 minutes of legal discussion. When the door closed, Sophia rounded on him. "This is a disaster." "It's not ideal," Reid agreed, loosening the collar of his shirt. "Not ideal? We got drunk and accidentally got married." She lowered her voice, aware of potential eavesdroppers. "This goes way beyond what I agreed to. I understand you're upset." "Upset doesn't begin to cover it." Sophia paced where Reid had earlier. I signed up for a weekend, not half a year of my life. I'll compensate you, of course. Reid's voice took on the tone he used in negotiations. We can revisit the terms of our agreement. This isn't about money, Reid. Sophia stopped pacing. It's about my life. My reputation. What happens when people find out it was all fake? They won't. He stepped closer. We stick to our story, get through the custody hearing, then quietly separate. A small voice called from the hallway, followed by a knock. Dad? Sophia? Reid opened the door to find Lily in a swimsuit, her nanny hovering behind her. Can we go to the pool now? You promised. The little girl bounced with excitement. Reid glanced at Sophia, a question in his eyes. She forced a smile, anger temporarily shelved. Give me 5 minutes to change, sweetie. After Lily skipped away, Reid touched Sophia's arm. Thank you. She shrugged off his hand. I'm doing this for her, not you. At the pool, Sophia sat with her feet dangling in the water, watching Reid teach Lily to float on her back. The little girl's face was a mixture of concentration and trust as her father's hands supported her. They look happy. Sophia turned to find Dr. Winters settling into a chair beside her, tablet ever present. They are, Sophia replied honestly. Whatever his faults, Reid clearly adored his daughter. And you? Happy with your sudden marriage? A warning bell rang in Sophia's mind. Some people date for years before realizing they're wrong for each other. Others know much sooner they're right. Indeed. Dr. Winters made a note. I understand you have no children of your own? Not yet. Taking on someone else's child is a significant commitment. Sophia watched Lily giggle as Reid pretended to be a sea monster. She makes it easy. Children seldom do. Dr. Winters studied her. Especially when their world has been upended by loss. Sophia met the evaluator's gaze directly. I'd never try to replace her mother, Dr. Winters. But I can be someone stable in her life who cares deeply about her happiness. Something in the woman's expression softened slightly. Your background is in education? Early childhood, yes. Before business school. Dr. Winters made another note, then rose. Interesting career shift. After the evaluator left, Sophia resumed watching Reid and Lily. For a man known as a ruthless businessman, he showed endless patience with his daughter's swimming attempts. The scene was so domestic, so normal, that Sophia could almost forget the certificate waiting in their suite. Almost forget this wasn't real, or rather wasn't meant to be real. Later that evening, Sophia found herself cornered by Victoria Chase at the cocktail hour. The board member's smile didn't reach her eyes. Such a whirlwind romance, Victoria said, sipping her martini. I had no idea Reid was even interested in settling down again. Life is full of surprises, Sophia replied neutrally. Indeed. Victoria leaned closer. Like Reid changing his will last month. And the family trust. Her perfectly manicured nail tapped her glass. I wonder what triggered such convenient timing. Before Sophia could respond, Reid appeared at her side, hands settling possessively on her waist. Victoria. Not monopolizing my wife, I hope? Just getting acquainted. Victoria's smile turned sharp. Congratulating her on catching the most eligible bachelor in New York so efficiently. As Victoria sauntered away, Sophia turned to Reid. What was she talking about? Changes to your will. Standard updates. Reid guided her toward the terrace doors. Nothing important. It seemed important to her. Victoria thrives on corporate politics. He changed the subject. Dr. Winters was impressed with you at the pool today. But Sophia couldn't shake Victoria's words, or the calculation in the woman's eyes. First the prenuptial agreement hidden in their contract, now changes to Reid's will and family trust. The certificate might have been an accident, but Sophia was increasingly certain she was playing a game whose real rules Reid hadn't shared. Chapter 5. Monday morning greeted Manhattan with relentless rain, matching Sophia's mood perfectly. The weekend charade had extended into a new week, a new reality. She was actually married to her boss. Mrs. Montgomery, the doorman greeted as she entered Reid's, their building after work. Welcome home. The words sent a fresh wave of unreality washing over her. Howard Geller had insisted she move into the penthouse immediately. Appearances, He'd stressed repeatedly during their Sunday meeting. Upstairs, Sophia found the apartment quiet. Patricia had taken Lily to a playdate and Reid was still at the office. Temporary solitude. A small mercy. She wandered into Reid's study, a room she'd rarely entered before. Now, as his wife, she apparently had the right. The thought was both strange and oddly liberating. Might as well make use of the time. Sophia began organizing scattered papers on his desk, a habit from her assistant days. Most were standard business documents, until she found a folder labeled Montgomery Family Trust. Victoria's words echoed in her mind. Convenient timing. Sophia hesitated, then opened the folder. Legal language filled page after page, but certain sections had been highlighted. She skimmed until a particular clause caught her attention. Asterisk, control of Montgomery Industries shall pass to Reid Alexander Montgomery upon his 40th birthday, provided he is married at the time of succession. Should this condition not be met, controlling interest shall be divided equally among all board members. Asterisk. Ice slid through Sophia's veins. Reid's 40th birthday was in 3 months. She flipped through more pages, finding amendments dated just weeks before their Hamptons trip. One showed Reid had recently changed his will to include my wife, Sophia Elizabeth Montgomery, as a beneficiary. The timing was too perfect. Their accidental marriage solved Reid's trust problem neatly. Find something interesting? Sophia startled, dropping the folder. Reid stood in the doorway, tie loosened, expression unreadable. You used me. She held up the trust document. This is why you needed a wife. I don't know what you're talking about. But his eyes followed the paper in her hand. Don't lie to me, Reid. Anger sharpened her voice. The trust requires you to be married before your 40th birthday or you lose control of your company. That's why you really wanted me to pose as your wife. That's not. You orchestrated this whole thing. Sophia slammed the folder down. The marriage was never supposed to be an accident, was it? You planned to get me to sign on for longer, but our drunk wedding just made it easier. Reid stepped into the room, closing the door. It wasn't like that. Then explain the prenup you slipped into our contract. Explain changing your will before our so-called accidental marriage. Reid's jaw tightened. Yes, I knew about the trust condition. My grandfather's archaic idea of ensuring family values in company leadership. So you used me to keep your precious company. I chose you because you're smart, capable, and Lily trusts you. His voice hardened. But the marriage was genuinely accidental. Conveniently accidental. Think what you want. Reid moved to his desk. But this changes nothing about our agreement. Help me secure custody of Lily, and you'll be compensated handsomely. It changes everything. Sophia gathered her purse. I'm filing for divorce. Today. You can't. Reid's voice stopped her at the door. Not if you want your nonprofit funded. Not if you care about Lily. The manipulation stung worse than the lies. You don't get to use your daughter as leverage. I'm using reality as leverage. Reid's eyes narrowed. Walk away now and the Blackwoods will get custody. Is that what you want? The unfairness of it burnt in her chest. You're despicable. I'm practical. He straightened papers on his desk. We had an agreement. The circumstances have changed slightly, but the core remains. Slightly? We're legally married. A temporary inconvenience. He looked up, his expression softening marginally. Sophia, I didn't plan for this to happen, but we can make it work to both our advantages. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. A reminder for tomorrow's board meeting, where she'd be introduced as Reid's wife to the entire leadership team. I need air. She yanked open the door. Don't wait up. 3 hours later, Sophia sat in a quiet restaurant downtown, picking at a salad. Her anger had cooled to something harder, more determined. Part of her wanted to walk away from the entire mess, but Lily's face kept appearing in her mind. The little girl was innocent in all this. And despite everything, Sophia couldn't deny the Blackwoods seemed more interested in hurting Reid than loving their granddaughter. Her phone lit up with a text from Reid. Where are you? She ignored it, signaling for the check. The waiter nodded and disappeared. A minute later he returned, not with the bill but with a glass of champagne. I didn't order this, Sophia said. Compliments of the lady at the bar. Sophia turned. The restaurant was dimly lit. but she could make out a slender woman in a black dress raising her own glass in salute. Curious, Sophia approached. As she drew closer, something about the woman's posture seemed familiar. "Hello, Sophia." The woman's French-accented voice purred with amusement. "Enjoying married life? I'm sorry, do I know you?" "Not formally." The woman extended a manicured hand. "Camille LeBlanc. I believe you're sitting in my chair now, both in the boardroom and in my husband's bed." Sophia felt the floor tilt. "Camille. But you're dead." Camille laughed softly. "Reports of my demise were greatly exaggerated." "I don't understand." Sophia stared at the woman who was supposedly Reid's former mistress, presumed lost in a boating accident 2 years ago. "It's quite simple." Camille sipped her champagne. "I needed to disappear for a while. Business complications. Now I've returned to claim what's mine." "If you mean Reid." "Oh, darling." Camille's smile turned predatory. "Reid is just part of the package. There's also the company. And of course my daughter." "Your..." Sophia's voice died as understanding hit her. "Lily isn't Claire's daughter. Claire adopted her after I left." Camille set down her glass. "Another woman raising my child. History repeats itself, doesn't it? First Claire, now you. You abandoned your own daughter?" "I made a strategic retreat." Camille's eyes hardened. "Which ended when I learned of Claire's unfortunate accident. Everything was perfect for my return, until Reid suddenly acquired a wife." Sophia struggled to process this revelation. "Does Reid know you're back?" "He will tomorrow." Camille gathered her clutch. "At the board meeting. I do hope you'll be there. I so rarely get to meet my replacements." "I'm not your replacement." "No." Camille stood, smoothing her dress. "Then what are you exactly? The besotted new bride? The cunning gold digger? Or just a pawn in Reid's game to keep control of the company that should be partly mine?" Sophia rose too, anger surging back. "You don't know anything about me." "I know everything about you." Camille leaned close. "Harvard Business School dropout. Buried under student debt. Dreams of an educational nonprofit that will never happen without Montgomery money." The detailed knowledge of her life sent chills down Sophia's spine. "See you tomorrow, Mrs. Montgomery." Camille's red lips curved into a smile. "Do her something nice. Board meetings can be such a bloodbath." Sophia barely remembered the taxi ride back to the penthouse. Her mind raced with new questions, new suspicions. Had Reid known Camille was alive? Was that why he needed a wife so urgently, not just for the trust in Lily but to block Camille's return? When the elevator doors opened to the penthouse, she found Reid in the living room, tumbler of scotch in hand. "Where have you been?" he demanded. "I've been calling for hours." "I met your mistress tonight." Sophia walked to the bar and poured herself a matching drink. "Imagine my surprise, since she's supposed to be dead." Reid went perfectly still. "What are you talking about?" "Camille LeBlanc. Very much alive and coming to tomorrow's board meeting." Sophia tossed back the scotch. "She mentioned something interesting, that Lily is her daughter, not Claire's." The blood drained from Reid's face. "Camille approached you? Where? Does it matter? She's back and she wants what's hers. The company, you, and most importantly Lily." Reid set down his glass with a sharp crack. "She has no right to Lily. She abandoned her as an infant. Claire legally adopted her. And you never thought to mention this minor detail?" Sophia's laugh held no humor. "What else have you conveniently forgotten to tell me, Reid? That our marriage wasn't just about custody but about blocking Camille from returning to stake her claim." "I thought she was dead." Reid's voice was low, dangerous. "We all did. Convenient for you, wasn't it? Your mistress disappearing just when Claire filed for divorce. You think I had something to do with that?" His eyes flashed. "Camille disappeared after embezzling company funds. I covered it up to protect Lily from the scandal." Sophia wanted to believe him, but the lies had piled too high. "I'm done with your manipulations. I'll fulfill our original agreement, help with Lily's custody. But after that I want a divorce and everything you promised me in writing." Reid stepped closer, intensity radiating from him. "If Camille's back, everything's changed. She'll use any weakness against me, including a marriage falling apart. That's not my problem. It is if you care about Lily." His hand gripped hers. "Think about it, Sophia. If Camille gets partial custody, The implication hung in the air. Sophia pictured the little girl who called her mom, now in the hands of a woman who had abandoned her once already. Before she could respond, the elevator pinged. Both turned as the doors opened. Victoria Chase strutted in, followed by two men Sophia recognized as board members. Reid. Victoria's smile was triumphant. Emergency board meeting. Something that couldn't wait until tomorrow. Behind Victoria stood Camille, radiant in her black dress, red lips curved in victory. "Hello, darling," she purred to Reid before turning ice-blue eyes to Sophia. "I believe you're sitting in my chair, both in this boardroom and in my husband's life." Sophia felt Reid tense beside her, his hand instinctively reaching for hers. Camille stepped forward, the picture of wounded dignity. "And I've brought proof that my daughter, my biological daughter, belongs with me, not with a man who conspired to fake my death and his convenient new bride." She dropped a folder on the coffee table. Photos spilled out. Reid with Camille, a baby Lily between them, family portraits Sophia had never seen. "The board is quite interested to learn how you've been lying to them, Reid." Victoria's voice dripped with satisfaction. "Almost as interested as the family court will be." The final bombshell dropped as Camille produced a document with an official seal. "By the way," she said, "I'm not just Lily's biological mother. I'm also Reid's legal wife. Our divorce was never finalized before my death. Which makes your marriage, my dear Sophia, completely invalid." Chapter 6. The board members left at midnight, faces grim with disapproval. Victoria's triumph had been palpable as she escorted Camille out, the two women thick as thieves. Only after the elevator doors closed did Reid collapse onto the sofa, head in his hands. "She planned this perfectly," he muttered. Sophia stood by the window, arms wrapped around herself. The Manhattan skyline blurred through the rain-streaked glass, much like her thoughts. "Is it true?" she finally asked. "Are you still legally married to her?" Reid lifted his head. "No. The divorce was finalized. I have the papers." "And Lily? Is she really Camille's biological daughter?" "Yes." He reached for the abandoned scotch. "Claire couldn't have children. When Camille got pregnant, it wasn't planned. She wanted an abortion. But you convinced her to have the baby. We agreed Claire and I would adopt Lily legally. Camille had no interest in motherhood." Bitterness edged his voice. "Then Camille changed her mind about the divorce. Started using Lily as leverage. For what? More money. Board position. Whatever she wanted that week." Reid drained his glass. "Then she disappeared with $50 million in company funds. We thought she died in that boating accident." Sophia tried to reconcile the elegant, calculating woman she'd met with the story Reid told. Both could be true. "Why didn't you tell me any of this before I agreed to help you? Would you have said yes if I had?" Reid's gaze was steady. "A mistress, embezzlement, corporate scandal. Most people run from that kind of complication." Before Sophia could answer, the sound of small feet patted down the hallway. Lily appeared in the doorway, clutching Mr. Hoppy. "I heard shouting," she said, voice small. "Is the mean lady coming back?" Reid and Sophia exchanged glances. How much had Lily overheard? "Come here, princess." Reid patted the sofa beside him. Lily hesitated, then ran not to Reid but to Sophia, throwing her arms around her legs. "Don't go," she whispered. "She said you have to go." Sophia's heart twisted. She crouched down, meeting Lily's panicked eyes. "I'm not going anywhere right now, sweetheart. Promise." Lily's grip tightened. "I promise we'll talk about everything tomorrow. But now it's very late and little rabbits and their girls need sleep." After tucking Lily back into bed with extra stories and reassurances, Sophia returned to find Reid on the phone with his lawyer. She sank into an armchair, exhaustion sweeping over her. "Howard says Camille's divorce claim is bogus," Reid said after hanging up. "But she's muddied the waters enough that the custody situation is precarious. What does she really want? Control of Montgomery Industries." Reid's face hardened. "She'll use Lily to get it." "And Victoria? Why is she helping Camille?" "Victoria's family owns Chase Media. They've wanted to acquire my technology division for years." Reid paced the room. Together they could force a merger that would make them billions. Sophia stood, gathering her purse. "I need to go to my apartment. Process all this." "Sophia." Reid stopped her with a hand on her arm. If you walk out now, Camille wins. She'll use your departure to convince the court I'm unstable. That Lily deserves to be with her biological mother. That's manipulation, Reid. It's reality. His grip tightened slightly. You saw how Lily reacted tonight. She's already attached to you. Don't use your daughter against me. Sophia pulled away. It's not fair. None of this is fair. Reid's voice softened. But it's the situation we're in. Help me protect Lily. Please. The elevator doors opened. Sophia stepped inside, the weight of indecision heavy on her shoulders. I'll think about it, she said as the doors closed between them. Sophia's Brooklyn apartment felt small and stale after days away. She moved mechanically, opening windows despite the rain, sorting mail, trying to reclaim normalcy. Her phone buzzed repeatedly with texts from Reid, but she ignored them. She needed space to think clearly, away from his persuasive presence, away from Lily's pleading eyes. At 3 a.m., unable to sleep, she opened her laptop and began researching Camille LeBlanc. Articles showed a stunning woman at Reid's side at various events 3 to 4 years ago. Business profiles described her as a former model turned entrepreneur. Nothing hinted at the ruthless calculator Sophia had met. Deeper digging revealed Camille's connection to Victoria Chase. They had attended the same Swiss boarding school. The pieces started fitting together. This wasn't a random attack. It was a coordinated assault, years in the making. A knock at her door startled her. Through the peephole she saw her landlord, looking apologetic even at this hour. Miss Carter, I'm sorry to disturb you, but someone broke into your apartment while you were away. What? I don't see anything missing. Sophia glanced around the small living room. They didn't take anything, just tossed the place. I cleaned up best I could. He shifted uncomfortably. Police said it might have been random, but... A chill ran through her. Not random. Someone had been looking for something. After the landlord left, Sophia noticed subtle signs of intrusion. Books slightly out of order, her desk drawer not quite closed. She checked her hiding spots for important documents. Everything seemed intact, but the violation felt personal. Her phone rang. Reid again. This time she answered. Someone broke into my apartment. Are you okay? His concern sounded genuine. I wasn't here. But it wasn't a regular burglary. They were looking for something. Camille. Reid's voice hardened. Come back to the penthouse. You're not safe there. I can take care of myself. Sophia, please. Something in his tone made her pause. Camille is dangerous when she wants something. And right now she wants you gone. Dawn was breaking as Sophia returned to the penthouse, suitcase in hand. Reid opened the door before she could use her key, relief evident on his face. Thank you, he said simply. I'm not doing this for you. Sophia set down her bag. I'm doing it for Lily. I understand. He stepped back. I've been up all night with Howard working on a counter-strategy. In the living room, papers covered every surface. Howard nodded a greeting without looking up from his laptop. We've confirmed the divorce is valid, the lawyer said. But Camille's challenging it on technical grounds. It could take months to resolve. What about her claim to Lily? Sophia asked. Claire's adoption was legal. Camille signed away her rights. Howard removed his glasses. But she's arguing she was coerced. Given her biological connection, the court might grant her visitation at minimum. Which gives her access to Lily. Reid raked a hand through his hair. Access she'll use to manipulate and hurt us. What do? We formalize your position. Howard pulled out a fresh contract. A legally binding arrangement that gives you standing in court. I thought our marriage wasn't valid if Reid is still legally tied to Camille. The marriage may be challenged, but a formal guardianship agreement isn't. Howard tapped the contract. This gives you legal rights regarding Lily's care and establishes your role in her life. Sophia scanned the document. This says I agree to remain in the household for 1 year minimum. Stability is crucial in custody cases. Howard's expression remained neutral. The court needs to see consistent caregivers. And what do I get out of this arrangement? She looked directly at Reid. Everything from our original agreement plus more. Reid handed her an addendum. Funding for your nonprofit. A 7-figure settlement. And shares in Montgomery Industries that vest immediately. You're buying me. I'm compensating you fairly for what I'm asking. Reid's eyes met hers. And offering you a chance to protect a child who already loves you. Before she could respond, the bedroom door opened. Lily appeared, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Her face lit up when she saw Sophia. You came back. She ran forward, throwing her arms around Sophia's waist. I did, sweetheart. Sophia stroked the little girl's hair. Over Lily's head she met Reid's gaze. They both knew he'd won. Sophia couldn't walk away from Lily now. Patricia will make pancakes, Reid told his daughter. Why don't you go help her? After Lily skipped toward the kitchen, Sophia reached for a pen. 1 year, she said, signing the contract. And I want everything in writing. Already done. Reid slid the papers to Howard, who nodded and gathered his briefcase. I'll file these immediately. And I'll see you both in court next week. After the lawyer left, an awkward silence fell between them. Thank you, Reid said finally. I know this isn't what you signed up for. No, it isn't. Sophia gathered her suitcase. I'll stay in the guest room. And Reid? From now on, no more secrets. I want to know everything. About Camille, about the company, about whatever else might blindside us next. Fair enough. He hesitated. For what it's worth, I didn't plan our marriage. That really was accidental. But convenient. Extremely. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Though less so now that my not-so-dead ex has resurfaced. Despite everything, Sophia found herself smiling too. I think we're well past convenient, Mr. Montgomery. Indeed we are, Mrs. Montgomery. He picked up her suitcase. Indeed we are. As he carried her bag to the guest room, Sophia couldn't help wondering what other surprises waited in the tangled web she'd agreed to enter. One thing was certain. Nothing about this arrangement was going to be simple. Chapter 7. You're sure about this? Sophia asked, frowning at the papers spread across Reid's home office desk. Absolutely. Kevin Zhang, Montgomery Industries head of security, tapped a surveillance photo. Camille LeBlanc arrived in New York 3 months ago under an alias. She's been watching the company, and you, ever since. It had been 2 weeks since Camille's dramatic return. 2 weeks of legal maneuvers, tense board meetings, and careful navigation of Lily's fragile emotions. And this account in the Caymans? Reid pointed to a financial statement. Received a $50 million deposit 2 years ago, Kevin confirmed. The exact amount that disappeared from the company. Sophia studied the timeline Kevin had created. The dates don't add up. The boating accident where Camille supposedly died happened on June 15th. But these transfers began 3 days earlier. She planned her disappearance, Reid said. The accident was staged. With help, Kevin added. Someone inside the company had to authorize these transfers. Sophia glanced at Reid. Victoria. Possible. They've known each other longer than I realized. I'll keep digging. Kevin gathered his materials. But be careful. Ms. LeBlanc has resources we haven't traced yet. After he left, Sophia turned to the company laptop she'd been using. I've been looking into Camille's business activities before she disappeared. Reid moved behind her chair, leaning down to see the screen. His proximity sent an unwelcome warmth through her. An inappropriate reaction given their circumstances. Anything useful? His breath tickled her ear. Sophia shifted slightly. She was meeting with Apex Technologies regularly in the months before she vanished. Our biggest competitor. Reid straightened, frowning. Corporate espionage? Maybe. Sophia opened another file. But there's more. Remember that charity gala where we supposedly met in our cover story? What about it? Camille attended 3 weeks ago. Before she revealed herself. Sophia showed him a photo from a society blog. She was watching us before making her move. Reid's jaw tightened. She always was methodical. Tell me about her. Sophia closed the laptop. Not the corporate version, the real story. Reid's expression clouded. He moved to the window, looking out at the evening skyline. We met at a gallery opening. She was intelligent, ambitious. Attractive, obviously. He paused. She was married to James Whitman. Your former business partner? Sophia remembered the name from company records. Yes. They were already having problems. I told myself that justified it. He turned back to face her. It didn't. How did she end up pregnant with Lily? An accident. Camille didn't want children. Ever. But I convinced her to have the baby, promised we'd find a solution. His expression softened. When I first held Lily, everything changed. Nothing mattered except protecting her. So Claire adopted her. Claire couldn't have children. She loved Lily instantly. Pain flashed across his face. Camille signed away her rights, took a settlement, and we agreed to call it done. But it wasn't done. No. She came back 6 months later wanting more money, threatening to go public. Claimed she'd made a mistake. Reid's hands clenched. It was never about Lily. Always about leverage. Then she disappeared with the money and I thought it was finally over. The raw honesty in his voice caught Sophia off guard. This wasn't the calculating businessman she was used to. This was a father who'd do anything to protect his child. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for telling me the truth. No more secrets as promised." He attempted a smile. "Your turn. Why did you really leave Harvard Business School 1 semester before graduating?" Sophia stiffened. "That's not relevant to our situation. Full disclosure goes both ways." Reid returned to his chair. "You've seen my skeletons." She fidgeted with a pen, weighing how much to reveal. "I was engaged to a professor. Paul Everett. When I ended it, he threatened to fail me, claim I'd cheated on my thesis." "So you left?" "I left because fighting meant public scandal. His word against mine, and he had tenure." The old bitterness resurfaced. "I chose to walk away with my reputation intact rather than drag us both through the mud. You could have graduated from Harvard. And you could have let Camille take your money without fighting." Sophia met his gaze evenly. "We all have lines we won't cross." Something shifted in Reid's eyes, respect perhaps. Before he could respond, his phone rang. Montgomery. His expression darkened as he listened. "When?" "Keep it quiet. I'll handle it." He hung up, face grim. "Someone tried to access Lily's trust fund. Forged documents, very professional." "Camille. Has to be." He grabbed his jacket. "I need to go to the bank personally. Will you be okay here with Lily?" "Of course." Sophia stood. "Be careful." After Reid left, the penthouse felt too quiet. Sophia checked on Lily, who was happily playing in her room under Patricia's supervision, then returned to the office to continue her research. The puzzle pieces didn't quite fit. If Camille wanted money, why wait 2 years to resurface? The 50 million she'd taken would last decades. And if she wanted Lily, why wait until the girl had settled with a new family? Unless Lily wasn't the primary target at all. On a hunch, Sophia searched for information about Montgomery Industries' newest technology division, the one Victoria's family had been trying to acquire. News articles revealed a breakthrough patent pending for cryptocurrency security, potentially worth billions. The timing of Camille's return suddenly made perfect sense. Sophia was so engrossed in her discovery that she didn't hear the apartment door open. Only when a shadow fell across the desk did she look up. Working late. Victoria Chase stood in the doorway, impeccably dressed despite the late hour. "Victoria." Sophia kept her voice steady, closing the laptop. "How did you get in?" "Reid's housekeeper has worked for my family for years." Victoria strolled in, examining the room. "Amazing what people will do for the right price. What do you want?" Sophia edged toward her phone. "Don't bother." Victoria gestured to Sophia's cell. "No signal. Building maintenance issue." Such bad timing. Alarm bells rang in Sophia's head. "Reid will be back any minute." "No, he won't. The bank situation will keep him busy for hours." Victoria picked up a framed photo of Lily. "She looks like her mother, doesn't she? The real one." "What do you want?" Sophia repeated, calculating the distance to the door. "Just a friendly chat." Victoria set down the photo. "About your investigation into Camille's disappearance." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Please." Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. "We know you've been digging. Computer logs don't lie." The casual "we" confirmed Sophia's suspicions about Victoria's involvement. "Fine. You caught me. I'm curious about my husband's ex." She emphasized the word, husband, watching Victoria's reaction. "Ex." Victoria laughed softly. "That's technically in dispute, isn't it?" "Not according to the divorce papers. Papers can be challenged. Signatures questioned." Victoria moved closer. Tell me, how does it feel being the consolation prize? Reid was devastated when Camille disappeared. You're just the convenient replacement. Is that why you're here? To question my relationship. I'm here to offer you a deal. Victoria's voice hardened. Stop investigating. Take the settlement Reid offered, which we know about by the way, and walk away. Or things could get unpleasant. Victoria glanced toward Lily's room. Children are so vulnerable, aren't they? Emotionally speaking. The threat, however veiled, made Sophia's blood boil. Get out. Think about it. Victoria moved to the door. You have no idea what you're up against. After she left, Sophia rushed to check on Lily, finding her still playing peacefully. Patricia seemed oblivious to the visitor. With shaking hands, Sophia called Reid, relieved when the call connected despite Victoria's claim about the signal. She was here, Sophia said when he answered. Victoria. In your office. Are you okay? Lily. We're fine. But Reid, she threatened us. And she knew about our arrangement, the settlement, everything. I'm coming home now. His voice was tight with anger. Don't open the door for anyone. After hanging up, Sophia returned to the office, scanning for anything Victoria might have taken or planted. Everything looked untouched, but a blinking light caught her attention. A tiny device nestled behind a bookshelf, barely visible. Cold dread washed over her as she realized they'd been watched in their most private spaces. How long had it been there? What had it recorded? She left it in place, knowing Reid would want security to handle it properly. But the violation made her skin crawl. When he returned an hour later, face dark with rage, Sophia silently led him to the camera. His curse was soft but vicious. The bedroom too? He asked. He hadn't checked, the thought too disturbing. Together they moved through the apartment, finding 3 more devices, including one in their bedroom. How did they get in? Sophia whispered as Kevin Zhang was called to remove the cameras. The housekeeper. Reid's voice was deadly calm. She's worked for Victoria's mother for years. What do they want? To destroy me. Take my company. Take Lily. Reid's hands clenched. Everything that matters to me. The raw admission hung between them. Reid. Sophia stepped closer. I found something before Victoria arrived. The new security patent. That's the real target, isn't it? His eyes widened slightly. How did you know about that? Research. Sophia met his gaze. Camille doesn't care about Lily. She wants the patent, the company. The child is just leverage. It's worse than that. Reid lowered his voice as Kevin worked in the next room. The bank confirmed it wasn't just Lily's trust fund they tried to access. Someone's been systematically testing our security, looking for weaknesses. Corporate espionage. On a massive scale. Reid ran a hand through his hair. And now they're in my home threatening my family. The word family caught Sophia by surprise. A reminder of how quickly their fake relationship had become something neither of them had anticipated. We need to stop them, she said. But we need proof. I know. Reid hesitated, then reached for her hand. I can't do this alone. The touch sent an unwelcome jolt through her. Despite everything, the lies, the manipulation, the danger, something was shifting between them. Something neither had planned. You don't have to. Sophia squeezed his hand. We're in this together now. For Lily. Reid's eyes darkened. For Lily, he agreed, but his tone suggested it might be for something more as well. Kevin returned, interrupting the moment. All devices removed. But there's something you should know. He held up one of the cameras. This isn't commercial grade. It's military specification. What does that mean? Sophia asked. It means, Reid said grimly, we're dealing with someone who has resources far beyond what we imagined. And they're just getting started. Chapter 8. Lily, please open the door. Sophia knelt in the hallway, speaking through the keyhole of the little girl's bedroom. We need to talk about what happened at school. Silence answered her. 3 weeks had passed since discovering the surveillance devices, and while they'd fortified the penthouse security, emotional defenses proved harder to secure. I hate school. Lily finally shouted. I'm never going back. Sophia sighed. Today's call from the headmistress had been discouraging. Lily had hidden in the bathroom during recess after another child had taunted her about having two mommies. "Can I tell you a secret?" Sophia pressed her palm against the door. "When I was your age, I hated school sometimes too." A pause, then tiny footsteps approached. The door cracked open, revealing Lily's tear-stained face. "You did." "Absolutely." Sophia kept her voice gentle. "There was a girl named Melissa who said my shoes were ugly every single day." Lily opened the door wider. "What did you do?" "I told my teacher. And then I made a new friend who liked my shoes." Jenna said. Lily's bottom lip trembled. "She said my real mommy didn't want me. That's why I have a new one." The cruelty of children never ceased to amaze Sophia. She opened her arms and Lily dove into them. "Sometimes," Sophia said, stroking Lily's hair, "grown-ups make complicated choices. But none of those choices were because of you. You are perfect exactly as you are." "But why did she come back?" Lily's voice was muffled against Sophia's shoulder. "The lady who yelled. Daddy said she's my first mommy." Sophia chose her words carefully. "She made a mistake when she left. But your daddy never left you. And I won't either. Promise?" The simple question carried impossible weight. Sophia pulled back to look into Lily's eyes. "I promise I will always care about what happens to you. No matter what." It wasn't quite the forever promise Lily wanted, but it was the truth. And Sophia had promised herself no more lies, even kind ones. Later, after Lily had calmed and fallen asleep for her nap, Sophia found Reid in his home office, deep in a conference call. He glanced up as she entered, then quickly wrapped up the conversation. "How is she?" he asked the moment he hung up. "Sleeping now." Sophia sank into a chair. "But Reid, this is affecting her deeply. The custody battle, Camille's sudden appearance, the change in schools. It's too much." "I know." He rubbed his temples. "Howard says the court date is set for next month. Dr. Winters will make her recommendation then. A month of this emotional roller coaster." Sophia shook her head. "She needs stability, not more chaos. Which is why we need to maintain our united front. Show the court we're a stable family unit." Family unit. The word still felt foreign to Sophia, though less so with each passing day. Their pretense had taken on weight, substance, as they navigated crisis after crisis together. "I've been thinking," she said carefully. "We should consider family therapy. All three of us." Reid's instinctive frown was predictable. "I don't have time for." "Make time." Sophia leaned forward. "This isn't just about the custody case anymore. Lily is struggling." Something in her tone must have reached him. Reid's expression softened. "You're right." He nodded slowly. "Set it up." "Really?" She hadn't expected him to agree so easily. "When it comes to Lily, you're usually right." A hint of a smile touched his lips. "Don't look so shocked." Reid Montgomery admitting someone else might know better? "I should mark the calendar." His smile widened. "Don't push it, Mrs. Montgomery." The easy banter caught them both by surprise. For a moment they simply looked at each other, acknowledging the subtle shift in their dynamic. Reid cleared his throat. "The foundation gala is this weekend." "I know. I've arranged your tux and confirmed the car." "I meant, will you come with me?" "As my wife, obviously, but..." He hesitated. "The Children's Education Foundation was your idea. You should be there." Sophia blinked. The Montgomery Foundation's annual gala was the social event of the season, attended by New York's elite. Reid was offering her a place of honor, not just as his pretend wife but as a contributor. "I'd like that," she said simply. The ballroom of the Plaza Hotel glittered with chandeliers and the jewelry of Manhattan's wealthiest. Sophia smoothed the midnight blue gown Reid had insisted on buying her. "Appearances," he'd said, though the appreciative look in his eyes when she'd emerged from the bedroom suggested more. "Mrs. Montgomery." A silver-haired man approached. "Charles Winthrop. Delighted to meet the woman who finally captured Reid's heart." "The pleasure is mine." Sophia shook his hand, recalling from her research that Winthrop headed the foundation's board. "Reid tells me the new literacy initiative was your brainchild." Winthrop's eyes crinkled. "Brilliant concept. We've already secured matching grants from 3 major donors." Before Sophia could respond, Reid appeared at her side, hands settling naturally at the small of her back. Charles has been singing your praises, she told him. Deserved for once. Winthrop chuckled. This one's a keeper, Reid. Sharp as they come. As they mingled, Sophia noticed the subtle shift in how the board members treated her. No longer simply Reid's arm candy, she was consulted on foundation matters, her opinions solicited and respected. They like you, Reid murmured as they moved toward the dance floor. More importantly, they listened to you. Surprised? Not at all. His hand settled on her waist as they began to dance. I always recognized your capabilities. Why else would I have asked for your help? Desperation, Sophia suggested, but her smile softened the jab. Reid's laugh was genuine. That too. As they swayed to the music, Sophia became acutely aware of their proximity, the warm pressure of his hand on her back, the faint scent of his cologne. This wasn't their first dance. They'd performed for audiences before, but something felt different tonight. You're good for the foundation, Reid said, his voice lower. Good for Lily. The unspoken implication, good for him, hung between them. The education initiatives were long overdue, Sophia deflected, uncomfortable with the direction of her thoughts. Always deflecting compliments. His thumb traced a small circle on her back. One of your more frustrating qualities. I have a list of yours if you'd like to compare. His smile reached his eyes, crinkling the corners. I'm sure you do. The music ended and Reid reluctantly released her. As they returned to their table, Sophia spotted a familiar face across the room, Victoria Chase, watching them with barely concealed contempt. Ignore her, Reid advised, following her gaze. She's hoping to provoke a scene. No Camille tonight? Too public. She's playing the wounded mother card, avoiding social events to seem focused solely on regaining Lily. Their conversation was interrupted by the foundation director calling Reid to the stage for his speech. Sophia watched with unexpected pride as he addressed the crowd, announcing expanded programs and increased funding. None of this would be possible without my wife, Sophia, Reid said, finding her in the audience. Her vision for educational equity has revitalized our mission. The acknowledgement startled her. It wasn't necessary for their charade, yet he'd given her credit publicly. When he returned to their table, she raised an eyebrow. That wasn't in your prepared remarks. Improvisation. Reid's hand covered hers on the table. And the truth. The moment was shattered by a commotion near the entrance. Patricia, their nanny, rushed toward them, face pale. Mr. Montgomery, it's Lily. She woke up screaming from a nightmare and won't calm down. She's asking for both of you. They left immediately, all pretense of the elegant couple abandoned in their concern. In the car, Sophia clutched Reid's hand without thinking, their shared worry creating a bond neither had anticipated. At the penthouse, they found Lily huddled in her bed, sobbing. The sight of her tear-stained face broke something in Sophia's chest. She came and took me away, Lily hiccuped as they sat on either side of her. The mean lady. She said I couldn't see Daddy or Sophia ever again. It was just a bad dream, princess. Reid stroked her hair. No one is taking you anywhere. Promise. Lily looked from Reid to Sophia, her small hand gripping both of theirs. We promise, they answered in unison. It took an hour of stories and reassurances before Lily finally drifted back to sleep. Even then, neither adult moved, unwilling to risk waking her. This is my fault, Reid whispered in the dimly lit room. If I'd never gotten involved with Camille. Don't. Sophia cut him off. You can't undo the past. We deal with now. Across Lily's sleeping form, their eyes met in silent understanding. Whatever had brought them to this point, manipulation, accidents, convenience, they were now united in purpose. After ensuring Lily was deeply asleep, they tiptoed out to the hallway. Thank you, Reid said, his voice rough with emotion. For being here. For her. She's easy to love, Sophia admitted, the words slipping out before she could reconsider. Reid's eyes darkened. Yes. She is. Something shifted in the air between them, a current neither had acknowledged. Reid stepped closer, one hand lifting to brush a strand of hair from her face. Sophia. The shrill ring of his phone shattered the moment. Reid answered, his expression quickly changing from annoyance to alarm. When? He listened intently. Keep it contained. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up, face grim. Someone attempted to hack our servers tonight. They were targeting the patent files. Camille. Or whoever she's working with. Reid's jaw tightened. I need to go to the office. Go. Sophia nodded. I'll stay with Lily. He hesitated, then impulsively pressed a kiss to her forehead. We'll finish this conversation later. After he left, Sophia touched the spot where his lips had been, confused by the warmth spreading through her. This wasn't part of the plan. Developing genuine feelings for Reid Montgomery was definitely not in the contract. Yet as she checked on Lily once more, she couldn't deny the truth. Their fake marriage had created a real bond, not just with the child but between them. A bond that was becoming increasingly difficult to dismiss as mere convenience. Chapter 9. The money trail ends here. Sophia tapped the screen of her tablet, showing Reid the financial data she'd compiled. Offshore account in the Caymans, then routed through 6 different shell companies before landing in an investment fund in Singapore. Reid leaned closer, their shoulders touching as they sat side by side on the private jet. Untraceable. Almost. Sophia swiped to another document. The fund made a significant investment in Apex Technologies last year. Our competitor. Reid's jaw tightened. So Camille stole our money to invest in our competition. It gets worse. Sophia lowered her voice, though the cabin was empty except for them. Apex filed 3 patent applications last month that are suspiciously similar to our encryption technology. Impossible. That research never left our secure servers. Unless someone had inside access. Sophia met his eyes. Someone who knew what to look for. The realization darkened Reid's expression. A month had passed since the night of the Foundation Gala. A month of digging into Camille's finances while preparing for the custody hearing. What they'd uncovered painted a disturbing picture of corporate espionage. We need concrete proof before confronting her. Reid checked his watch. The meeting with Grayson Financial is in 3 hours. We should try to rest. The London trip had been planned for months. A crucial partnership that could stabilize Montgomery Industries amid the turmoil. Sophia hadn't expected to be included, but Reid had insisted she come as both his wife and his advisor. I'll keep working. Sophia suppressed a yawn. There's still something missing from this puzzle. Reid gently closed her tablet. You've been up for 20 hours. Even brilliant minds need sleep. The unexpected compliment caught her off guard. Over the past weeks, their relationship had shifted in subtle ways. More partnership than pretense, with moments of genuine connection neither had anticipated. Fine. 1 hour. She reclined her seat. Wake me before we land. Sleep claimed her almost instantly. When she woke, the cabin was dimly lit and Reid's jacket was draped over her. He sat across the aisle quietly reviewing documents. Why didn't you wake me? Sophia checked her watch. We land in 30 minutes. You needed the rest. He handed her a cup of coffee. Besides, you're more intimidating when you're not sleep-deprived. She accepted the coffee with a smile. Planning to use me as your secret weapon with Grayson? Something like that. His returned smile created a flutter she chose to ignore. The car will take us directly to the hotel. We have time to change before the meeting. The Grayson Financial headquarters occupied a gleaming tower in London's financial district. Sophia walked beside Reid through the imposing lobby, conscious of the curious glances from staff who clearly recognized the infamous tech billionaire and his new wife. Reid's hand settled naturally at the small of her back as they entered the elevator. The gesture had become familiar, almost comforting, though she'd never admit that aloud. Nervous? He asked quietly. Should I be? No. You've done your homework on Grayson's educational initiatives. They'll be impressed. The unexpected vote of confidence steadied her as they were ushered into a boardroom where 5 executives awaited them. Mr. Montgomery. Malcolm Grayson, the silver-haired CEO, extended his hand. And Mrs. Montgomery. A pleasure to have you both. The meeting progressed smoothly. Sophia spoke about the educational applications of Montgomery's technology, while Reid outlined the security benefits for financial institutions. By the time dessert arrived in the adjoining dining room, it was clear Grayson was sold. My legal team will draft the partnership agreement this week, Malcolm concluded, raising his glass. To successful ventures. As they clinked glasses, Reid's hand found Sophia's under the table, giving it a quick squeeze of approval. The small gesture of shared triumph felt unexpectedly intimate. Back at their hotel suite, the professional demeanor relaxed into celebration. Reid loosened his tie and opened a bottle of champagne from the minibar. To successfully intimidating British bankers, he toasted, handing Sophia a glass. I wasn't intimidating. I was persuasive. She kicked off her heels with a sigh of relief. Brilliantly so. Reid's gaze lingered on her. Malcolm specifically mentioned your educational framework as the deciding factor. Really? Genuine pleasure warmed her chest. Really? Reid clinked his glass against hers. We make a good team, Sophia. The simple statement hung between them, laden with implications neither was ready to address. Their arrangement had been convenient, calculated, but somewhere along the way, it had evolved into something neither had expected. It's just business, she said, more to herself than to him. Is it? Reid set down his glass, moving closer. Because it doesn't feel like just business anymore. Sophia's heart quickened. Reid. His phone rang, the harsh sound shattering the moment. Reid checked the screen, then answered with evident reluctance. Howard. What's wrong? His expression darkened as he listened. When? Are you certain? We'll be on the next flight back. He hung up, face grim. The court moved up the custody hearing. Camille's lawyers filed an emergency petition claiming Lily is in danger because I took you out of the country during the evaluation period. That's ridiculous. Dr. Winters approved this trip. Camille convinced a different judge to review the case. Reid was already reaching for his laptop. We need to get back to New York. Tonight. The return flight was tense, all celebration forgotten as they prepared for battle. Reid worked furiously, coordinating with Howard while Sophia compiled evidence of Lily's progress under their care. Dr. Winters is still on our side, Reid said, finally closing his laptop as the plane began its descent into New York. But the new judge is unknown territory. We have documented stability, routine, emotional support. Sophia reviewed her notes. Lily's therapist will testify to her improvement. Reid rubbed his temples. It may not be enough against a biological mother's claim. It will be. Sophia covered his hand with hers. We won't let her take Lily. The spark of determination in his eyes mirrored her own. Whatever had brought them together, they were united in this purpose. At the penthouse, they found Lily already asleep, Patricia reporting that she'd had a good day despite missing them. After checking on the sleeping child, they retreated to the kitchen where Howard waited with stacks of legal papers. The hearing is at 9 tomorrow. The lawyer looked exhausted. Camille's claiming emotional distress because Lily called Sophia mom at school. That happened weeks ago, Sophia protested. And it was Lily's choice. Which is exactly what you'll testify. Howard passed them each a folder. I've prepared your statements. Review them tonight. After Howard left, Sophia pored over the documents, making notes in the margins. Reid watched her from across the kitchen island, an odd expression on his face. What? She asked, noticing his gaze. I was just thinking. He hesitated. A few months ago you were my efficient assistant. Now you're fighting for my daughter like she's your own. She grows on you. Sophia attempted lightness, though the truth was far more complex. Those big eyes are hard to resist. It's more than that. Reid moved around the island to stand beside her. You didn't have to stay after we discovered the cameras. After Camille returned. You could have taken the settlement and walked away. And leave Lily? The very idea was unthinkable now. I couldn't do that to her. To her. Reid's voice softened. Or to us. The question hung between them, loaded with unspoken emotions. Before Sophia could respond, her tablet chimed with an email alert. It's from my contact at the Financial Intelligence Unit. She opened the attachment. Reid, look at this. The document showed transfers between Camille's accounts and a name Sophia didn't recognize. Eleanor Chase. Chase. Reid frowned. Any relation to Victoria? Let me search. Sophia typed rapidly. Eleanor Chase is Victoria's mother. Why would Camille be sending money to Victoria's mother? Further digging revealed Eleanor Chase had been Claire's godmother, a connection neither had known. This is bigger than corporate espionage. Sophia's fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling threads that suddenly began to connect. Victoria and Camille didn't just meet at boarding school. Their families have been intertwined for generations. And Claire? Where does she fit in this web? That's what I'm trying to. Sophia stopped abruptly, staring at the screen. Oh my God. What? Police reports. She turned the tablet so Reid could see. Claire's accident wasn't an accident. The initial investigation noted brake tampering, but the case was closed after a large donation to the Swiss Police Department's foundation. From who? A shell company that traces back to Eleanor Chase. The implication hit them both simultaneously. Victoria's family had been involved in Claire's death. If Camille knew. Reid's voice trailed off. She could be being blackmailed. Sophia completed his thought. Or she could be complicit. Reid's phone rang, a text from Howard with a file attachment. Howard found something in Discovery. Old emails between me and Camille. As they read through the exchanges, a disturbing pattern emerged. In the weeks before her disappearance, Camille had repeatedly referenced knowing what really happened to James. James Whitman. Sophia remembered. Your former partner. Camille's first husband. He died in a climbing accident a year before Camille and I got involved. Reid's face had gone pale. At least that's what everyone believed. The pieces were falling into place, creating a picture darker than either had imagined. Old emails showed Camille becoming increasingly erratic, demanding money while making veiled threats about accidents and patterns. She was blackmailing you, Sophia realized, before she disappeared. I thought she was just bitter about the divorce. Reid looked shell-shocked. I never connected it to James's death or suspected Claire was in danger. A new alert pinged on Sophia's tablet, a message from her contact with additional files. Reid. Her voice wavered. These are security camera stills from Claire's hotel the day before her accident. The images showed Victoria Chase entering Claire's hotel, then leaving hours later. The final image, timestamped 2 a.m., showed Claire's car being accessed by someone whose face was turned away from the camera, but whose distinctive bracelet matched one Victoria often wore. Victoria killed Claire. Reid's voice was barely audible. And Camille knows. Before they could process this revelation, the elevator pinged. Both turned, startled by the late-night arrival. Victoria Chase stepped into the penthouse, her trademark confidence momentarily faltering at the sight of them both awake, surrounded by evidence. Working late, she recovered quickly. I thought you'd still be in London. Change of plans. Reid's voice was dangerously calm. What are you doing in my home at midnight, Victoria? Board emergency. She moved further into the room, eyes scanning the scattered papers. I tried calling. No, you didn't. Sophia remained perfectly still, tablet screen facing down. Why are you really here? Victoria's gaze darted between them, calculating. I see you've been busy with your little investigation. Find anything interesting? We know about Claire. Reid stepped forward. And James. Something shifted in Victoria's expression, surprise quickly masked by cool amusement. Clever. She set her purse on the counter. But incomplete. You haven't figured out the most important part yet. Which is? Reid knew. Victoria's smile turned triumphant as she looked at Sophia. He knew about James. About the money. About all of it. You're lying. Sophia didn't look at Reid, couldn't bear to see if guilt registered on his face. Ask him. Victoria's voice dripped with satisfaction. Ask your husband if he was really innocent in all this. Ask him what happened the night James died. Sophia finally turned to Reid, searching his face. Tell me she's lying. The flash of pain in his eyes gave her the answer before he spoke. I didn't know about Claire, he said quietly. But James. I was there that night. Victoria's laugh was soft, victorious. And the truth finally emerges. How does it feel, Sophia, to discover your white knight is actually the villain of the piece? Get out. Reid's voice was deadly quiet. Now. Gladly. Victoria moved toward the elevator. But remember, I have documentation. Evidence the court would find very interesting during a custody hearing. After she left, silence filled the penthouse. Sophia stared at Reid, waiting for an explanation, for a denial, for anything that would make sense of Victoria's accusation. It wasn't what she implied. Reid finally spoke, voice rough. James and I argued that night. He discovered I was seeing Camille. He fell. I tried to save him, but you let everyone believe it was an accident. Sophia's voice was barely audible. It was an accident. But I was there, which made me responsible. His eyes pleaded for understanding. I made a settlement with his family. Paid for his mother's care. I thought it was over. Until Camille used it to blackmail you. Reid nodded slowly. She threatened to go public unless I met her demands. Then she disappeared and I thought it was finally behind me. But Victoria knew. Apparently. He moved toward her. Sophia, I never wanted you involved in this mess. But I swear to you I didn't know about Claire. The sincerity in his eyes made her want to believe him. But the foundation of their relationship had been built on convenience and lies. How could she trust anything now? I need time to process this. She gathered her tablet. I'll be in the guest room. Chapter 10. The family court's waiting area buzzed with tense voices. Sophia sat stiffly beside Reid, the wooden bench uncomfortable beneath her. They hadn't spoken much that morning. The revelations of the previous night had erected a wall between them. Mrs. Montgomery? A court clerk approached. Judge Miller needs to speak with you both in chambers. Howard Geller, already on his feet, looked surprised. This is irregular. The judge insists, the clerk replied. Immediately. In the judge's chambers, a stern-faced woman in black robes studied them over reading glasses. Mr. and Mrs. Montgomery. I've reviewed Dr. Winter's evaluation. Judge Miller tapped a thick folder. I'm troubled by certain inconsistencies. Reid tensed beside Sophia. Such as the timing of your marriage, for one. The judge removed her glasses. And allegations that Mrs. Montgomery has been coaching Lily to reject her biological mother. That's absurd, Sophia protested. I would never. Nevertheless, these are serious concerns. Judge Miller cut her off. I'm postponing today's hearing pending further investigation. Howard stepped forward. Your Honor, we have evidence regarding Ms. LeBlanc's true motives. You'll present that at the appropriate time, Mr. Geller. The judge's tone brooked no argument. That will be all for now. Outside the chambers, Howard looked grim. Someone got to her. Victoria. Reid's jaw clenched. She's buying time. Sophia checked her phone, a habit when anxious. A text from Patricia appeared. Asterisk, Lily settled at school. Teacher says she's doing fine today. Asterisk. At least one small mercy. Let's regroup at the office, Reid suggested. Review our strategy. The ride to Montgomery Industries was silent, the distance between them palpable. In the elevator to the executive floor, Reid finally spoke. About last night. Not now. Sophia kept her eyes on the climbing floor numbers. We focus on Lily first. His nod was curt, understanding if not accepting. The executive floor was oddly quiet when they arrived. Reid's assistant wasn't at her desk and several office doors stood open when they should have been closed for meetings. Something's wrong, Reid muttered, quickening his pace toward his office. They found Kevin Zhang waiting inside, face grave. We have a situation. What happened? Reid demanded. There was a security breach at Lily's school 30 minutes ago. Kevin's words fell like stones. Someone claiming to be her mother removed her from class. The floor seemed to drop beneath Sophia's feet. Camille took Lily? The school assumed it was an approved pickup since the woman had proper ID and knew the security protocols. Kevin pulled up security footage on Reid's monitor. By the time they called to confirm, they were gone. The grainy video showed Camille signing Lily out, the little girl looking confused but not frightened. They walked hand in hand to a waiting town car. Have you called the police? Sophia asked, her heart pounding. Not yet. Kevin looked to Reid. Given the custody situation, we wanted your decision first. This isn't a custody issue, it's a kidnapping. Sophia's voice rose. Call the police immediately. Wait. Reid studied the footage. If we involve the police, Camille can claim it was just a mother picking up her child. We need to find them ourselves, quickly and quietly. She's taken our daughter, Reid. The words escaped before Sophia could stop them. Our daughter. Revealing how completely she'd come to see Lily as her own. Reid's eyes met hers, acknowledging the slip without comment. I know. His voice softened. And we'll get her back. But smart, not loud. Kevin nodded. I've already activated the tracking protocol. Tracking protocol? Sophia looked between them. After the surveillance discovery, we added a tracker to Lily's favorite stuffed animals. Reid turned to the computer. Mr. Hoppy has a small device sewn into his ear. You bugged her toy rabbit? Sophia wasn't sure whether to be appalled or grateful. I take no chances with my daughter's safety. Reid watched as a map appeared on screen, a red dot blinking steadily. They're headed to Teterboro Airport. A private flight. Kevin was already on his phone. I'll get the manifest. Sophia paced, adrenaline making it impossible to stand still. Why now? The hearing was delayed, that's what she wanted. Unless the hearing was never the real objective. Reid's expression darkened. What if this was always the plan? Use the court case as distraction while preparing to take Lily out of the country? Kevin returned, his expression confirming their fears. Private jet to Zurich filed a flight plan 15 minutes ago. Passenger list includes Camille LeBlanc and a minor. Leaving when? 45 minutes. Reid was already moving. Have my car brought around. Alert airport security, but tell them to stand down until we arrive. I don't want Camille spooked. Reid. Sophia caught his arm. If she gets on that plane. She won't. The determination in his eyes left no room for doubt. We're getting our daughter back. The drive to Teterboro passed in tense silence, Reid making calls while Sophia monitored the tracker's signal. The dot remained stationary at the private airport terminal. They haven't boarded yet, she reported, clinging to that small hope. Security will delay them with paperwork until we arrive. Reid ended his last call. Howard is getting an emergency order, but it won't come through for hours. We can't wait for legal solutions. Sophia gripped her phone tighter. Not with Lily. Reid's hand covered hers briefly. I know. The gesture, simple as it was, acknowledged what neither had said aloud. Despite everything, the lies, the revelations, the broken trust, they were still united in the one truth that mattered. They both loved Lily. Reid. Sophia hesitated. About last night. You don't have to say anything. I do. She met his gaze. Whatever happened in the past, whatever mistakes you made, I believe you didn't know about Claire. And I believe you love Lily more than anything. Something shifted in his expression. Relief, gratitude, and something deeper she wasn't ready to name. Thank you. His voice was rough. That means everything. The car pulled into the airport, speeding past security gates with prearranged clearance. At the private terminal, they spotted Camille's town car parked near the entrance. They're still here. Reid was out of the car before it fully stopped. Inside the terminal, they scanned the exclusive lounge area. No sign of Camille or Lily. The tracker? Reid asked. Sophia checked her phone. Still in the building. Near the east exit. They moved swiftly through the terminal, Reid's authority clearing their path. As they approached the east wing, a flash of familiar pink caught Sophia's eye. Lily's backpack, glimpsed through a frosted glass door marked Private Suite. There. She pointed. Reid nodded to Kevin, who had followed in a second car. The security chief positioned himself at one exit while Reid and Sophia approached the main door. Without hesitation, Reid pushed it open. The scene inside froze them both. Camille sat in a leather chair, elegant as always in a cream suit. Beside her, Lily clutched Mr. Hoppy, looking uncertain. And standing near the window, coolly observant, was Victoria Chase. Right on time. Camille's smile didn't reach her eyes. We expected you 10 minutes ago, actually. Traffic. Lily. Sophia took a step forward, stopping when Victoria moved closer to the child. Are you okay, sweetheart? Lily nodded, her small face confused. Mommy said we're going on a trip. Mommy. Camille emphasized the word, her gaze challenging Sophia. Such a natural title, isn't it? Blood will tell. You abandoned her. Reid's voice was controlled fury. You signed away your rights. You don't get to play mother now when it's convenient. Convenient. Victoria laughed softly. Like your convenient marriage. Tell me, Sophia, how does it feel knowing you were acquired primarily to block Camille's return? This isn't about me. Sophia kept her focus on Lily. It's about a child who deserves stability, not to be used as a pawn. Noble sentiments. Camille crossed her legs casually. But we both know Reid doesn't care about stability. He cares about control, of his company, his image, his daughter. You're not taking her to Switzerland. Reid took another step forward. Actually, we are. Victoria produced a document. Temporary emergency custody, signed this morning by Judge Miller. Completely legal. Howard had warned them the judge might have been compromised, but this was worse than they'd feared. Legal perhaps. Ethical no. Sophia edged closer to Lily. Why are you doing this, Camille? You never wanted to be a mother before. People change. Camille's smile thinned. Motherhood becomes more appealing when it comes with controlling interest in a multi-billion-dollar company. So that's it. Reid's laugh was bitter. The custody battle, the tears, the claims of maternal love. All for my company? Not just the company. Victoria moved to stand behind Camille. Justice. Justice. Sophia repeated. Claire was investigating irregularities in the company finances. Victoria's voice hardened. She found evidence of embezzlement, stock manipulation, all leading back to Reid. She was going to expose him. That's a lie. Reid's fists clenched. Claire never mentioned any investigations to me. Because she knew you were involved. Camille rose gracefully. She told me everything before her accident. How convenient that she died before she could go public. The implication hung heavy in the air. Sophia looked between them, pieces falling into place. You think Reid arranged Claire's death? The absurdity of it would have been laughable if not for the deadly seriousness in Victoria's eyes. We know he did. Victoria's certainty was chilling. Just like he arranged James's climbing accident, when his partner got too close to the truth. You're insane. Reid took another step toward Lily, who was watching the adults with growing distress. I had nothing to do with Claire's death. And James's fall was an accident. I was there, I tried to save him. A convenient story. Camille's hand settled on Lily's shoulder. Time to go, darling. Our plane is waiting. She's not going anywhere with you. Sophia moved suddenly, closing the distance to Lily and crouching beside her. Lily, sweetheart, do you want to come home with Dad and me? Lily nodded immediately, reaching for Sophia's hand. How touching. Victoria stepped between them. But the court order is clear. Lily leaves with her biological mother today. After everything you've done? Sophia stood, keeping Lily behind her. The surveillance, the threats, breaking into my apartment, you think I'll just let you take her? Victoria's eyes narrowed. How did you know about my apartment? Sophia pulled out her phone, showing a video playing silently. Building security cameras. I had them enhanced after the break-in. Clear image of you entering my building the night my place was ransacked. It was a bluff. No such video existed. But the flash of alarm in Victoria's eyes confirmed Sophia's suspicion. That proves nothing, Victoria recovered quickly. Maybe not alone. Reid had caught on to Sophia's strategy. But combined with the financial trails linking you to Claire's accident investigation, and the recent attempts to access company systems, patterns emerge. Patterns like the ones Camille noticed before she disappeared? Sophia pressed. Is that why you helped her fake her death, Victoria? To keep her quiet about what really happened to Claire. Camille's composure slipped slightly. Victoria had nothing to do with my disappearance. No. Sophia turned to her. Then why did $50 million from Montgomery Industries end up funding Victoria's media acquisition last year? Money traced directly from your Cayman accounts. This was partial truth. They had traced some funds but not the full connection. Yet the shock on Camille's face suggested they'd hit closer to home than expected. You're stalling. Victoria checked her watch. The plane is waiting. So is the FBI. Reid's phone displayed a text. Financial Crimes Division. They're very interested in that $50 million, Victoria. And in Claire's accident. Victoria's confident facade cracked. You're bluffing. After you broke into my home and threatened my family? Reid's voice was steel. I don't bluff anymore. Agent Donovan is waiting outside this door. Kevin Zhang chose that moment to enter, accompanied by a serious-looking woman in a dark suit. Victoria blanched. Victoria Chase? The agent stepped forward. We have some questions about wire transfers authorized under your credentials. While Victoria sputtered denials, Camille edged toward a side door, pulling Lily with her. Sophia intercepted them, placing herself between Camille and the exit. Move. Camille's voice was low, dangerous. No. Sophia stood her ground. You don't care about Lily. You never did. This is about money and revenge. You know nothing about my motivations. I know you left her once before. Sophia didn't back down. I know you signed away your rights. I know you only returned when it became profitable. I made a mistake. For the first time, something genuine flickered in Camille's eyes. I was young, overwhelmed. So you abandoned your baby. Sophia's words were quiet but cutting. And now you want to use her to hurt Reid and control his company. Camille's mask slipped further. He deserves to suffer after what he did to Claire. Reid didn't kill Claire. Sophia held Camille's gaze. But I think you know who did. The moment hung between them. Behind Camille, Victoria was being questioned by the agent, her voice rising in protest. You have evidence? Camille asked softly, her grip on Lily loosening slightly. Enough to raise serious questions about Victoria's whereabouts the night before Claire's accident. Something shifted in Camille's expression. Doubt, uncertainty. Lily used the moment to slip from her grasp, running to Reid, who scooped her up protectively. Camille LeBlanc? The FBI agent turned toward her. We'll need to speak with you as well. Trapped, Camille's calculating gaze darted around the room before settling on Victoria, whose desperate eyes pleaded for silence. Actually, Camille said slowly, reaching into her handbag, I have something you might find interesting, agent. She produced a flash drive. Recordings. Conversations between Victoria and me. Including one where she admits arranging Claire's accident to protect our financial arrangement. Victoria's face drained of color. You bitch. You were recording me. Insurance. Camille's smile was cold. I learned from the best. As the agent took the drive, Camille turned to Reid. I never wanted to be a mother. Not really. But I did care about Claire. When Victoria told me Reid had arranged her death. So you came back for revenge. Sophia filled in the gaps. Using Lily as your weapon. The perfect leverage. Camille looked at the little girl in Reid's arms, something like regret crossing her features. I convinced myself it was justice. And the 50 million? Reid asked. Payment for my silence about Claire. Camille's admission was calm, as if she'd already calculated the reduced sentence such cooperation might earn her. Victoria needed me to disappear while she handled the Reid problem. As the FBI agent called for backup, Sophia moved to stand beside Reid and Lily, forming a protective unit. Is the mean lady in trouble? Lily whispered loudly. Yes, sweetheart. Sophia smoothed her hair. But you're safe now. We're going home. All of us. Lily looked between them anxiously. Reid's eyes met Sophia's over Lily's head, the question in them unmistakable. After everything they'd learned, everything they'd been through, what happened now? All of us, Sophia confirmed, making a decision that felt both terrifying and right. We're going home together. Chapter 11. The Montgomery penthouse had never felt more like home than when they walked through the door that evening, Lily chattering excitedly between them as if the day's trauma had already faded into adventure. And then Sophia told the mean lady she couldn't take me, 'cause I belong with you guys, Lily recounted to Patricia, who'd been sick with worry. And Dad looked super mad, like when I spilled juice on his computer, but way worse. Bath time, princess, Reid suggested gently. Then extra stories tonight. After Lily was settled with Patricia, Reid poured 2 glasses of scotch, handing one to Sophia. To getting our daughter back, he said quietly. The word "our" hung between them. Sophia accepted the glass, taking a small sip. The FBI agent said they'll need our statements tomorrow. She settled onto the sofa, exhaustion finally catching up with her. Victoria and Camille will stay in custody pending charges. Kevin's team is already collecting evidence from company servers. Reid sat beside her, careful to maintain space between them. It appears Victoria was siphoning company data for years. The practical discussion felt like avoidance. So much remained unresolved between them. Reid's past, their future, the arrangement that had evolved into something neither had anticipated. Reid, Sophia began cautiously, we need to talk about what happens now. I know. He stared into his glass. I can't ask you to stay after everything. The contract, Howard's arrangement. Consider it void. You're free to go whenever you wish. Is that what you want? The question slipped out before she could stop it. Reid's eyes met hers, startlingly vulnerable. No. But what I want stopped mattering the moment I dragged you into this mess with half-truths and manipulation. His raw honesty disarmed her. 3 months ago she'd have called him calculating and cold. Now she saw the man beneath the billionaire facade, flawed but fiercely protective of those he loved. I need time, she said finally, to sort through all this. And we still have the company situation to resolve. The board meets tomorrow. Reid's expression darkened. With Victoria's arrest, there will be questions about leadership. The trust conditions are still in effect until my birthday next month. So your position remains precarious. Essentially. He finished his scotch. But that's my problem, not yours. Before she could respond, Lily appeared in the doorway. Mr. Hoppy clutched to her chest. I can't sleep, she announced. Can I stay with you guys for a little while? The simple request melted both their hearts. Lily climbed between them on the sofa, secure in the certainty that she belonged exactly where she was. Morning arrived with a flurry of activity. The FBI interviewed them separately, taking detailed statements about Victoria's threats and Camille's revelations. By noon, they were preparing for the emergency board meeting. You don't have to attend, Reid told Sophia as they rode the elevator to the executive floor. This will be unpleasant. I'm still your wife on paper. She straightened his tie automatically. And if they're questioning your leadership, they're questioning mine too. The boardroom fell silent as they entered. Most members had already heard about Victoria's arrest, though details remained closely guarded. Charles Devlin, temporarily elevated to acting chairman, called the meeting to order. Given recent events, Devlin began, the board has serious concerns about corporate governance and leadership stability at Montgomery Industries. Reid remained calm. Understandable. Victoria Chase abused her position to commit fraud and possibly worse crimes. She'll be prosecuted to the fullest extent. This goes beyond Victoria. Margaret Winters, a senior board member, leaned forward. Rumors are circulating about your involvement in past incidents. If you have accusations, Margaret, make them directly. Reid's voice was steel wrapped in silk. Very well. Margaret slid a folder across the table. Evidence suggesting you had prior knowledge of James Whitman's death. And possibly Claire Montgomery's as well. Sophia watched Reid's face carefully. His expression remained neutral, but she saw the tension in his jaw. This evidence was manufactured by Victoria Chase to manipulate Camille LeBlanc. Reid kept his voice level. As the FBI investigation will confirm. Perhaps. Margaret's smile was thin. But the mere suggestion has already affected our stock price. The board moves to temporarily suspend you as CEO pending a full investigation. The room erupted in murmurs. Reid had clearly anticipated this, but hearing it stated plainly still felt like a physical blow. You need a 2/3 majority for that motion, he reminded them. Which we have. Margaret looked entirely too pleased. Unless your wife's shares are voted against suspension. All eyes turned to Sophia. As Reid's wife, she controlled a significant block of voting shares, enough to deadlock the vote if she opposed the motion. Mrs. Montgomery has her own proxy, Reid said firmly. Her vote is her decision. The weight of expectation pressed on Sophia from all sides. Supporting Reid meant tying herself to him completely, professionally and personally, despite lingering doubts about his past. Voting for suspension meant public betrayal of the man whose daughter she'd come to love as her own. I'll need to review the evidence before voting, she said carefully. Margaret smiled triumphantly. Of course. We'll reconvene in 1 hour. As the board members filed out, Reid turned to Sophia, voice low. You don't have to protect me. Do what you believe is right. And if what's right isn't clear? She asked. He touched her hand briefly. Then follow your instincts. They've guided you well so far. Left alone, Sophia examined the evidence Margaret had presented. Most was circumstantial. Timeline discrepancies in James's accident report, phone records showing Reid near the location, financial transactions afterward. Victoria had assembled it skillfully, creating shadows of doubt without definitive proof. Her phone buzzed with a text from Howard. Asterisk Victoria requesting meeting. Says she has unshared evidence that exonerates Reid but wants deal. Your presence requested. Asterisk. Sophia felt a flicker of hope. If Victoria had evidence that could clear Reid's name. 20 minutes later, she sat across from Victoria in a conference room at the federal building. Even in custody, Victoria managed to look polished and confident. Thank you for coming, Sophia. Victoria's smile was calculating. I assume the board is moving against Reid? What do you want, Victoria? Direct. I like that. Victoria leaned forward. I have evidence proving Reid had nothing to do with Claire's death. Evidence that would ensure he retains control of Montgomery Industries. Why would you help him? I'm helping myself. Victoria's eyes hardened. In exchange for this evidence, I want immunity from prosecution and your shares in the company. My shares? Why? Combined with what I already control, they'd give me effective veto power over major decisions. Victoria looked smug. Including who becomes the next CEO when Reid inevitably falls. And if I refuse? Then certain documents regarding James Whitman's death go public. Victoria shrugged. Documents suggesting Reid's involvement was far more than he's admitted. Documents with his signature. Sophia maintained her poker face. You're asking me to divorce Reid and surrender my shares to you. I'm offering you freedom. Victoria's voice softened with false concern. You never wanted this marriage, Sophia. It was a business arrangement that spiraled out of control. Take the exit I'm providing. The manipulation was transparent but effective. Sophia stood, gathering her purse. I'll need to think about it. Don't think too long. Victoria checked the clock on the wall. The board reconvenes in 30 minutes. Back at Montgomery Industries, Sophia found Reid in his office, reviewing documents with Howard. Victoria claims to have evidence clearing you in Claire's death, she said without preamble. Reid looked up sharply. What does she want in exchange? Divorce papers. My shares. Your ruin. Sophia met his gaze steadily. Everything except Lily. She's desperate. Howard frowned. If she had exonerating evidence, she'd have used it to negotiate with the FBI, not you. Unless it somehow incriminates her further. Reid rose, pacing. What did you tell her? That I needed time to think. Sophia glanced at the clock. We have 20 minutes before the board vote. Howard's phone rang. He answered, listened intently, then looked at them with surprise. That was my contact at the prosecutor's office. Camille is cooperating fully, providing evidence against Victoria in exchange for leniency. Hope flickered, but Reid remained cautious. Will it be enough to clear me? Eventually, perhaps. But not in time for the board meeting. Sophia made her decision. Howard, I need divorce papers drawn up immediately. Reid's face went blank. Sophia. Trust me. She held his gaze. Please. After a moment of searching her eyes, he nodded once. 15 minutes later, Sophia entered the conference room where Victoria waited, Howard beside her with a slim folder. I've considered your offer, Sophia said, sitting across from Victoria. I want to see the evidence first. Victoria smiled triumphantly. The papers. Howard placed the folder on the table. Standard divorce filing. Mrs. Montgomery surrenders all shares acquired through marriage. Victoria opened the folder, scanning the documents with evident satisfaction. Smart decision. She slid a flash drive across the table. Everything you need is here. Emails between me and Camille discussing Claire's accident. Proof that Reid was in New York when it happened. Sophia plugged the drive into her laptop, reviewing the files quickly. They appeared legitimate: emails, photos, timestamps that would indeed clear Reid of involvement in Claire's death. Satisfied. Victoria pushed a pen toward Sophia. Time to sign. Sophia picked up the pen, uncapping it slowly. You know, Victoria, for someone so clever, you make one consistent mistake. And what's that? Underestimating people. Sophia signed the papers with a flourish. Particularly me. Victoria took the papers, barely containing her glee. No hard feelings, Sophia. It was never personal. Oh, but it was. Sophia stood. It was always personal. For you, for Camille. This vendetta against Reid consumed you both. Not vendetta. Justice. Victoria tucked the papers into her designer prisoner jumpsuit. I'll see you at the board meeting, though your vote no longer matters, does it? Sophia smiled enigmatically. We'll see. 5 minutes later she walked into the boardroom where the full board awaited. Reid sat at the head of the table, his expression carefully neutral as she entered. Margaret Winters called the meeting to order. Before we vote on the motion to suspend Reid Montgomery as CEO, Mrs. Montgomery has requested to address the board. Sophia took her position at the podium, every eye upon her. Board members of Montgomery Industries, I'll be brief. You've been presented with evidence suggesting Reid Montgomery was involved in past tragedies. Evidence that, if true, would indeed make him unfit to lead this company. Reid's face remained impassive, though she caught the flash of pain in his eyes. I've reviewed this evidence thoroughly, Sophia continued. And my conclusion is clear. She paused, meeting the gaze of each board member in turn. I'm voting my shares in favor of the motion to suspend Reid Montgomery as CEO, effective immediately. The room erupted in shock. Reid's face showed no surprise, only resignation and strangely what looked like pride. As the secretary recorded the vote, making the suspension official, Sophia turned and walked out of the boardroom, leaving behind the man she had just publicly abandoned at his moment of greatest need. Chapter 12. You did what? Emily stared at Sophia across her kitchen table, tea forgotten between them. You publicly voted to suspend your own husband as CEO? It was necessary. Sophia calmly sipped her tea, checking her watch. And temporary. 3 days had passed since the board meeting. 3 days of tabloid headlines screaming about the Montgomery marriage collapse, Reid's suspension and Victoria's smug statements through her lawyer. 3 days in which Sophia had moved into Emily's apartment, refusing all contact with the press. I don't understand. Emily shook her head. You spent months building this life with Reid and Lily only to throw it away? The Sophia I know doesn't quit. Who said I quit? Sophia's phone buzzed. She checked the message, then stood. I need to go. Court hearing in an hour. For the divorce? Emily asked, still bewildered. Sophia smiled mysteriously. Something like that. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters when Sophia arrived. She ignored their shouted questions, making her way inside where Howard waited. Everything's set, he confirmed, handing her a folder. Judge Carson is ready for us. And Victoria? Being brought over from detention as we speak. Howard looked concerned. Are you sure about this? Once it starts. It needs to finish. Sophia straightened her jacket. Is Reid here? Waiting inside. He still doesn't know your full plan. Good. Sophia took a deep breath. Let's get this done. The courtroom was nearly empty. A private hearing by special arrangement. Reid sat in the front row, dark circles under his eyes betraying sleepless nights. He stood when Sophia entered but didn't approach. Judge Carson, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, called the hearing to order as Victoria was escorted in by federal marshals. This is highly irregular, Mr. Geller, the judge noted. A hearing on divorce proceedings with a related criminal matter pending. Your Honor, Sophia stepped forward, if I may explain. Mrs. Montgomery. The court recognizes you. Thank you, Your Honor. Sophia opened the folder Howard had given her. I'm not here about divorce proceedings. I'm here to present evidence of criminal conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction of justice. Victoria straightened in her seat, eyes narrowing. 3 days ago, Sophia continued, Ms. Chase presented me with what she claimed was exonerating evidence regarding my husband's alleged involvement in Claire Montgomery's death. In exchange, I signed divorce papers surrendering my shares in Montgomery Industries. The judge frowned. This sounds like witness tampering, Mrs. Montgomery. Precisely, Your Honor. Sophia nodded. Miss Chase believed she was bribing me to betray my husband. What she didn't realize was that the divorce papers I signed were not actually filed with the court. Victoria lunged to her feet. That's a lie. I have the papers right here. The papers you have, Howard interjected smoothly, were created specifically for this sting operation with the knowledge of federal prosecutors. Sophia turned to face Victoria directly. When you approached me with your deal, I contacted the FBI immediately. They authorized a controlled exchange, fake divorce papers for your flash drive. This is absurd. Victoria looked to her lawyer. Tell them this is inadmissible. Your Honor, Sophia continued unperturbed. The flash drive Ms. Chase provided contains emails proving she orchestrated Claire Montgomery's death, while simultaneously proving Reid Montgomery was in New York during the incident. She handed the drive to the court clerk. Ms. Chase believed these files would never see the light of day because I would be too ashamed of betraying my husband to reveal our deal. She was wrong. For the first time, Reid's composed facade cracked as understanding dawned. He stared at Sophia with dawning wonder. Furthermore, Sophia added, when Ms. Chase provided this drive, the FBI was able to match its digital signature to other evidence in their investigation, unlocking encrypted files that detail her entire operation, including her involvement in James Whitman's death, previously blamed on my husband. Victoria's face had gone deathly pale. You set me up. No, Victoria. Sophia's voice hardened. You set yourself up through years of manipulation, fraud, and murder. I simply gave you enough rope to hang yourself. The judge reviewed the documents Sophia had provided. I'm referring this evidence to the federal prosecutor immediately. Ms. Chase will remain in custody. As Victoria was led away, hissing threats, Sophia finally turned to face Reid. His expression was a mixture of disbelief, gratitude, and something deeper that made her heart race. Court is adjourned, Judge Carson announced. Mr. Geller, ensure the prosecutor receives everything immediately. In the sudden emptiness of the courtroom, Sophia and Reid stood facing each other, 3 days of separation stretching between them like a chasm. You never filed the divorce papers, he said finally. Of course not. Sophia took a tentative step closer. It was the only way to get Victoria to provide the evidence that would clear your name. You let everyone believe you'd abandon me. The board, the press, Victoria. I needed her to believe it. Sophia took another step. I needed her overconfidence to be her downfall. You sacrificed your reputation. The board may never trust you again. I don't care about the board. Reid closed the distance between them, stopping just short of touching her. Why did you do it, Sophia? After everything I kept from you, after all the manipulation and half-truths, why risk everything to clear my name? The question hung between them, demanding honesty that went beyond their arrangement, beyond their performances. Because somewhere between the contract and the crisis, Sophia said softly, the pretending became real. For me at least. Reid's hand lifted to cup her cheek. I started falling in love with you the night you stayed with Lily. When you read her those stories and made her laugh for the first time since Claire died. The confession, so simple and unexpected, stole Sophia's breath. Reid. Let me finish. His thumb traced her cheekbone. I told myself it was convenient timing, the trust conditions, Lily's custody. But the truth is, I chose you because even then I saw something in you I couldn't look away from. We built this relationship on lies, Sophia reminded him even as she leaned into his touch. Then let's rebuild it on truth. Reid's eyes held hers. The truth is, I can run my company without you. I can even raise Lily without you, though she'd never forgive me. But I don't want to do either without you by my side. Not as my assistant, not as my convenient wife, but as my partner. My equal. Equal. Sophia raised an eyebrow, though her heart pounded. The great Reid Montgomery acknowledging an equal? His smile was genuine, reaching his eyes in a way that transformed his face. You outmaneuvered Victoria Chase, saved my company, cleared my name, and protected our daughter. I'd be a fool not to recognize your equality, or your superiority in many things. Our daughter, Sophia repeated softly. She's been yours since the first bedtime story. Reid's hand dropped to take hers. The question is, are we yours? Am I? The carefully constructed walls Sophia had built over months of pretense crumbled in the face of his vulnerability. She had fought for Lily, for justice, for Reid's company, but most of all she had fought for the family they had accidentally created. You know, she said, threading her fingers through his, for a brilliant businessman, you ask some pretty obvious questions. Reid's answering smile was all the confirmation she needed. He pulled her close, his kiss not for show, not for cameras or courts or curious onlookers, but for her alone. The board meeting is tomorrow, he murmured against her lips. They'll reinstate me based on the new evidence. I know. Sophia smiled. I drafted the resolution myself this morning. Reid laughed, the sound free and genuine. Of course you did. But first, Sophia pulled back slightly, we need to pick up Lily from school. Together. She's been asking when I'm coming home. Home. Reid repeated the word like a promise. That penthouse never felt like home until you and Lily filled it. Hand in hand they walked out of the courtroom into the waiting press. Cameras flashed, questions bombarded them, but Reid simply raised their joined hands. My wife and I have no comment at this time, he announced firmly. Except to say that the truth has a way of emerging, even from the most tangled circumstances. As they navigated through the reporters, Sophia felt the weight of their arranged beginning falling away. What had started as temporary, a weekend charade, had transformed into something neither had expected but both now cherished. By the way, Reid said as they reached his car, my birthday is next week. The trust condition will be satisfied. So you won't need a wife anymore? Sophia teased, sliding into the passenger seat. Reid caught her hand before she could buckle her seatbelt. On the contrary. I need you more than ever. His expression turned serious. But not for the trust. Not for the company. Not even just for Lily. What for then? For me. His voice softened. Because somehow in the middle of this mess we created, I found the one person I can't imagine living without. Sophia leaned across the console, pressing her lips gently to his. Then it's a good thing I'm not going anywhere, Mr. Montgomery. Is that a promise, Mrs. Montgomery? The only one that matters. She smiled against his lips. And this time we're both completely sober. As they drove to Lily's school, Sophia realized that their story had come full circle. What began as a calculated business arrangement had transformed through crisis and revelation into something authentic. The temporary Mrs. Montgomery had found her permanent place, not as an acquisition or an assistant, but as an equal partner in both business and love. And that was a contract worth keeping for a lifetime.